Jerusalem. Tens of thousands of Muslims demonstrated Friday across the Middle East in support of the Palestinians and against the intensifying Israeli bombardment of Gaza, underscoring the risk of a wider regional conflict as Israel prepares for a possible ground invasion. Time equals 400 ms, greater than from the typically sedate streets of downtown Amman in Jordan, to Yemen's war-scarred capital of Sanaa. Crowds of Muslim worshippers poured into the streets after weekly Friday prayers, angered by devastating Israeli airstrikes on Gaza that began after the militant group Hamas launched an unprecedented surprise attack on Israel last Saturday. Time equals 400 ms, greater than at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City. Israeli police were permitting only certain older men, women and children to enter the sprawling hilltop compound for prayers, trying to limit the potential for violence. Only 5,000 worshippers made it into the site, the Islamic endowment that manages the mosque said. On a typical Friday, some 50,000 perform the prayers. Time equals 400 ms, greater than people are also reading. Steve Cahalan. Mexican restaurant opens. Five Below coming and nonprofit buys Mama K's Pizza. UW Lacrosse football. Eagles end losing streak to UW Whitewater with 51-yard field goal phasing out. Iconic downtown lacrosse business serves last meal's Sunday motorcycle chase near UW Lacrosse during Oktoberfest ends with felony charges. Lacrosse man accused of stealing tools from recycling business car. Incident in Lacrosse triggers endangerment charge. Lacrosse man wanted for attempted homicide charge after police say he severely beat woman. Incident disrupts quick trip system. Spokesperson says cameraman who took vicious blow during Wisconsin football game, totally rolling with attention. Man accused of breaking in to lacrosse church through stained glass window. Wisconsin games on Peacock are a big pawn and costly for local businesses. Fans. Lacrosse man accused of stealing electric bike in Onalaska. Quick Trip purchases office building in Onalaska for training offices. High school football. PDC's Blake Theory chases college dreams at interesting position. Child dead, several injured after pickup truck collides with Amish buggy. An Associated Press reporter watched police allow just a Palestinian teenage girl and her mother into the compound out of 20 worshippers who tried to get in, some of them even over the age of 50. Young Palestinian men who were refused entry gathered at the steps near Lions Gate, eyes downcast, until police shouted at them and shepherded them outside the old city ramparts altogether. We can't live. We can't breathe. They are killing everything that is good within us, said Ahmad Barber, a 57-year-old cleaner, red-faced and seething after police blocked him from entering for prayers. Everything that is forbidden to us is allowed to them, he added, referring to the Israelis. The mosque sits in a hilltop compound sacred to both Jews and Muslims, and conflicting claims over it have spilled into violence before. Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third holiest site in Islam and stands in a spot known to Jews as the Temple Mount, which is the holiest site in Judaism. Hundreds of young Palestinian worshippers who had been turned away from the Old City threw down small prayer rugs on the street in the East Jerusalem neighborhood of Wadi Jose and prayed in the open. When some of the men started shouting, Israeli police charged into the crowd with batons and fired rounds of tear gas at the worshippers, wounding at least 6 people, said the Palestinian Red Crescent. Thousands demonstrated in Amman and neighboring Jordan, some crying out, "We are going to Jerusalem as millions of martyrs. What do they want from Palestine? Do they expect them to leave?" asked protester Omar Abu Sundos. "For what remains of Palestine to leave? They won't leave." National Live Updates, Day 7 of the latest Israel-Hamas war by the Associated Press. Listen now and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, RSS feed, Omni Studio. Time equals 400 ms, greater than in Beirut. Thousands of supporters of Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group waved Lebanese, Palestinian and Hezbollah flags, chanting slogans in support of Gaza and calling for death to Israel. The Iranian-backed militant group in neighboring Lebanon has launched sporadic attacks since the Hamas assault, but largely stayed on the sidelines of the war. However, Hezbollah's Deputy Secretary General warned that it would be on the lookout for the United States and British naval vessels heading to the Mediterranean Sea. U.S. officials, including President Joe Biden, have repeatedly warned Iran and the regional militias Tehran-backs to stay out of the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Nation and world U.S. cities boost security as fears spread over Israel-Hamas war despite lack of credible threats by Alana Durkin-Richer. Associated Press. Your battleships do not interest us, nor do your statements frighten us, Naeem Qasem said at a rally in a southern suburb of Beirut. When the time is right to take action, we will do so. In Baghdad, tens of thousands of protesters gathered in Tahrir Square, the protest hub of Iraq's capital, for rallies called by the influential Shiite cleric and political leader Muqtada al-Sadr. We, as Iraqis, know the pain of having an occupier on our land, said protester Alaa al-Arabiya, referring to the U.S. occupation of Iraq following its 2003 invasion to topple Saddam Hussein. Palestinian women have husbands, loved ones and sons fighting the occupation. We stand with them in their struggle. Across Iran, a supporter of Hamas and Israel's regional archenemy. Demonstrators also streamed into the streets after prayers. In Tehran, they burned Israeli and American flags, chanting, "Death to Israel, death to America, Israel will be doomed," and "Palestine will be the conqueror." The Palestinian people are fed up. Now your idea is to destroy Gaza, the houses of the people, Iran's hard line. President Ibrahim Raisi said in a speech in the country's southern Fars province. The people of the world and Palestine will cause trouble for you. In the Syrian capital of Damascus, protesters, including Palestinians from the Yarmouk refugee camp formed after the 1948 war surrounding Israel's creation, also rallied. Time equals 400 ms, greater than. I tell the people not to leave their homes, otherwise they will be like our grandparents who left Palestine and came to Syria but never returned. Ahmad Saeed, a 23-year-old Palestinian living in Syria, said, referring to the 1948 war. In Yemen's Sanaa, held by the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. Still at war with a Saudi-led coalition, demonstrators crowded the streets waving Yemeni and Palestinian flags. The rebels' slogan long has been, "God is the greatest. Death to America. Death to Israel. Curse of the Jews. Victory to Islam." We are ready to participate actively and send hundreds of thousands of mujahideen to defend Palestine, the Palestinian people and the holy sites, the Houthi government said in a statement Friday. This morning's top headlines. Israel-Hamas war. Steve Scalise. Taylor Swift's Eras film. Phillies Braves Israel-Hamas war. Steve Scalise. Taylor Swift's Eras film. Phillies Braves. And more top news this morning. Nation and World. Israel orders unprecedented evacuation of 1 million in Gaza as possible ground offensive looms by Isabel Debray, Edith M. Lederer and WAFA-ASHURAFA. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. Israel's military has told some 1 million Palestinians to evacuate northern Gaza and head to the southern part of the besieged territory. That's an unprecedented order applying to almost half the population ahead of an expected ground invasion against the ruling Hamas militant group. The UN warned that so many people fleeing en masse would be calamitous. Hamas dismissed it as a ploy and called on people to stay in their homes. The militant group staged a shocking and brutal attack on Israel nearly a week ago and has fired thousands of rockets since. Nation and World. U.S. Defense Secretary is in Israel to meet with its leaders and see America's security assistance by Lolita Circa Baldor. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in Israel for meeting with senior government leaders and to see firsthand some of the U.S. weapons and security assistance that Washington rapidly delivered to Israel in the first week of its war with Gaza's militant Hamas rulers. Austin's quick trip on Friday comes a day after Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in the region. Blinken is continuing the frantic diplomacy to avert an expanded regional conflict. Defense officials said that Austin wants to underscore America's unwavering support for the people of Israel and that the U.S. is committed to making sure the country has what it needs to defend itself. National AP GOP's Scalise ends his bid to become House Speaker as Republican holdouts refuse to back the nominee by Lisa Mascaro, Farno Ush Amiri, Stephen Groves and Kevin Frecking. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago Republican Steve Scalise has ended his bid to become House Speaker after failing to secure the votes to win the gavel. Scalise told GOP colleagues at a closed-door meeting late Thursday of his decision. Next steps are uncertain as the House is essentially closed while Republicans try to elect a speaker after ousting Kevin McCarthy from the job. Scalise says the Republican majority still has to come together and is not there. He had been working furiously to secure the votes after being nominated by a majority of his colleagues, but after hours of private meetings over 2 days it was clear many other Republican lawmakers were not budging from their refusal to support him. National AP $1.765 billion Powerball jackpot goes to a player who bought a ticket in a California mountain town by Marcio Sanchez and John Antchak. Associated Press updated 1 hour A GOA liquor store in a tiny California mountain town is reverberating with excitement after word that the winning ticket for a $1.765 billion Powerball jackpot was sold there. The drawing Wednesday night ended a long stretch without a winner of the top prize. It brought news media to Midway Market and Liquor in Frazier Park, a community of 2,600 residents about 75 miles north of Los Angeles. Store co-owner Nidal Khalil says, "It's the most exciting news ever in Frazier Park." The winning numbers drawn Wednesday night were 22, 24, 40, 52, 64 and the Powerball 10. Before someone won the giant prize, there had been 35 consecutive drawings without a big winner. National AP one of 2 Colorado officers convicted in Elijah McClain's death after neckhold, ketamine injection. By Colleen Slevin and Matthew Brown. Associated Press updated 1 hour AGO jurors have convicted a Denver area police officer and acquitted another of charges in the 2019 death of Elijah McClain, a black man whose name became a rallying cry in protests over racial injustice in policing. Aurora police officer Randy Rodema was found guilty by the 12-person jury of criminally negligent homicide and third-degree assault. Officer Jason Rosenblatt was found not guilty. McClain died after being put in a neckhold by a third officer and pinned to the ground, then injected by paramedics with an overdose of ketamine. The third officer and 2 paramedics are awaiting trial. National AP. Colorado judge strikes down Trump's attempt to toss a lawsuit seeking to bar him from the ballot by Meade Groover and Nicholas Riccardi. Associated Press updated 1 hour AGOA Colorado judge has rejected an attempt by former President Donald Trump to dismiss a lawsuit that seeks to keep him off the state ballot. The lawsuit claims the U.S. Constitution's ban on those who have engaged in insurrection from holding office applies to Trump, citing his role in the January 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol. Trump's attorneys argued the case should be dismissed because of a Colorado law that protects people from lawsuits abridging their free speech rights. State District Judge Sarah Wallace ruled that the law doesn't apply in this case. Entertainment AP Movie Review. In the elated Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, Every Seat is the Best Seat in the House by Maria Sherman. AP Music Writer updated 1 hour AGOTHE Hypnotic, Taylor Swift. The Eras Tour film is a near-exact replica of her blockbuster concert performance, which recaps all 10 of her studio albums across 17 years of recorded work. For those who've managed to snag tickets to the Eras Tour, it offers the ability to relive the experience. For those who didn't attend, it's a chance to test expectations versus reality, writes the Associated Press's Maria Sherman. But for everyone, it is the opportunity to have every seat in the house transform into the best seat in the house, up close and personal footage from every vantage point. Professional MLB Playoffs 2023. Phillies knock out Braves again to reach NLCS vs Diamondbacks. Associated Press updated 11 hours ago there are 4 teams left fighting for the World Series trophy. Now everybody can take a break for a couple of days before the playoffs resume Sunday night. Nick Castellanos became the first player to hit multiple homers in consecutive postseason games, and the Philadelphia Phillies eliminated the Atlanta Braves for the second straight year with a 3-1 victory Thursday night in Game 4 of their National League Division Series. The defending NL champion Phillies advanced to an all-wild card NLCS against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Game 1 is Monday night in Philadelphia. The AL Championship Series starts first, when Houston hosts rival Texas on Sunday night in a Lone Star State showdown. Justin Verlander is scheduled to pitch for the World Series champion Astros. National AP Mahomes throws TD pass. Kelce has big game. With Swift watching again as Chiefs beat Broncos 19-8 by Dave Skretta. AP sports writer updated 1 hour ago. Patrick Mahomes threw for 306 yards and a touchdown. Harrison Butker kicked 4 field goals, and the Kansas City Chiefs held off the Denver Broncos 19-8. It was the Chiefs' 16th straight win over their longtime AFC West rivals. Travis Kelce had 9 catches for 124 yards for Kansas City, with Taylor Swift again cheering him on from an Arrowhead Stadium suite. The Broncos' Russell Wilson was held to 95 yards passing with a touchdown and a pair of interceptions. Denver has not beaten the Chiefs since September 17, 2015, the year Peyton Manning led the Broncos to the Super Bowl. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than Minnesota. AP Biden awards $7 billion for clean hydrogen hubs across the country to help replace fossil fuels by Matthew Daley. Associated Press updated 28 minutes ago. The Biden administration has selected clean energy projects from Pennsylvania to California for a $7 billion program to kickstart development and production of hydrogen fuel. That's a key component of President Joe Biden's agenda to slow climate change. The Democratic president wants to establish 7 regional hydrogen hubs to help replace fossil fuels such as coal and oil with cleaner burning hydrogen as an energy source for vehicles, manufacturing and generating electricity. Biden is expected to make the official announcement Friday during an economic-themed visit to Philadelphia. The White House calls hydrogen essential to achieving Biden's vision of a strong, clean energy economy and net zero greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S. by 2050. Love zero, funny zero, wow zero, sad zero, angry zero. Tags Wire. DCC Lee National. Be the first to know. Get local news delivered to your inbox. Sign up. *I understand and agree that registration on or use of this site constitutes agreement to its user agreement and privacy policy.